G'day. I want to talk to you about meetings. Not one of my favourite topics, I got to say. I'm a big anti-meeting guy. Had to go to them in my career, and you could even be watching this while you're in a meeting. So if you are, I feel your pain. I feel your pain. Unfortunately, meetings are a big part of a lot of people's working life, and um, I felt myself that almost my life was passing before my very eyes in some of these meetings. You must have been in them. They seem to go on and on forever, have no point. People grandstanding or stroking their egos. Quieter members of the group never get a chance to speak or get spoken over. They can be an awful place to spend any of your time, let alone on a regular basis. And now we've got all these digital and video virtual platforms, more meetings. They can track you down wherever you are. So meetings have become, I think, even more invasive in our life. And I wanted to share my thoughts about how I cope with meetings when I was in them, when I was planning to get out of them, and now I'm away from them, how I kind of make sense of them and avoid them as much as possible. I know when I left my job um, in the 50s, got made redundant, kicked out the door, whatever you like to say. Um, One part of me was so relieved that I wasn't going to go to boring, endless meetings anymore. That was the thing that came to mind. Some of them would go on for days, uh, and often topics that I had no connection with, understanding, but I just had to endure it. And for me, often I felt like my soul was just being rusted away, or um, I kept thinking, God, I've been to university for so many years, I've got so much experience, and here I am in this place like I was in some sort of weird, you know, house of horrors or one of those circus mazes with mirrors where I couldn't get my bearings and just fell out of place. So I guess what I found to sort of not only survive but thrive in that situation was to try and change my thinking from one of hating meetings to using them as a way to build more meaning in my life, um, particularly in those times in the meetings where it just felt like I was just a passenger. I wasn't really there, and nor did others necessarily. So the the attempt to draw meaning from meetings came from where I could, where I felt I could get away with it. I would have a pad in front of me, um, and I don't know whether it's still the case, but sometimes when you're writing stuff, it can look like you're really listening, whereas if you typing on a computer or on a phone, it looks like you're doing something else. Maybe that's changed, but either way, um, I would take micro moments in the meeting to build a side hustle. I built a whole business within 18 months, going through meetings, thinking about my business while I was commuting back and forth on the train, um, in breaks, but even in the really boring bits of meetings or presentations, PowerPoints for God's sake, where I just didn't I didn't feel at all connected to the content area. um, that's when I reflect back on my side hustle. And what I always tried to do was to find at least one thing every day that I could follow up about one of my side hustles or passion projects or whatever it is, and take that one action every day, like a micro action. Although it seemed really small, like send an email to somebody or look something up or research a particular topic, I found over 18 months I was able to go from just an idea into a finished product. And I'll do another video about that product. Um, but it kind of gave me a spring in the step. It allowed me to endure these endless meetings that, from my perspective, had no relevance to me. I certainly tried to contribute, and maybe I did from time to time add some value, but um, endless talk about profit maximization, um, getting a bigger slice of people's wallets, um, customer surveys, I don't know, and all that sort of corporate jargon, corporate speak that goes on. I don't know, it felt sort of like half being in a cult and half being in a wash machine. Um, and I think early on, I felt like I was drowning, probably like in a wash machine. And the way I got through that was to not allow all the meeting to be all my experience. Was to try and carve out something just for me, um, even if it was break time when I went to the loo, just some moment in the day where I could say, you know what, I thought about something else other than all that stuff that was going on. And what that allowed me to do, which I didn't fully realize at the time, was by developing that side hustle, I didn't realize that within a couple of years I would be facing unemployment and needing to find new work. And um, the transition wasn't such a big shock for me because I developed the side hustle, already built contacts. I actually had a business that had signed a deal with me. So it meant that when I did leave the organisation, firstly I was really over being there, and I was desperate to get out of there. But I felt I landed on my feet. I didn't feel kind of completely at sea or eyes in the headlights. And I sort of knew my direction. I was doing something I was really passionate about. I put effort into it, and I was creating a new identity, a new work identity that, from being an employee to being an entrepreneur. And I love that. I love being my own boss. It was a bit scary in some ways, not as predictable, but also too, I didn't feel like I had to answer to anyone. And my God, that was so great. And not surprisingly, I rarely have a meeting. And if I do, man, I am so vigilant on keeping them short, focused, uh, and to the point. I always find it crazy how every year Vladimir Putin has this annual talk he gives, and it goes for like 5, 6 hours. He rambles on, um, which I just find bizarre. Thank God I'm not a journalist there. I really feel for anyone listening. And then the other day I heard a company in Japan had been caught up in some scandal and ran a press conference that went for 10 hours until 2 a.m. in the morning. Oh, my skin started to crawl just at the thought of it. So don't feel like meetings are all your life. They're just part of your life. They're a means to an end. Use them for what you can. They're also opportunities to create new things where you can grab those moments. And every moment you grab, you feel a little bit more of yourself um, coming back to you rather than being pulled apart like a jigsaw puzzle. So yeah, put some effort in and you'll be amazed what you can create. Go get him, Tiger.